10 seconds.
Welcome everybody. This is 3 Girls and 1 Mic. My name is Lilybit and I'm here with my besties.
Got a
Shadows. Shadows in the spa. Hi, I'm venussx.
This is typical Venus. We're introducing
Totally
ourselves and she's more
distracted
concerned. She's distracted with the shadows in the spa. That's funny.
With
It's
my
so cute
own
sometimes.
shadows under the water. Yeah.
VR is so captivating. The world in VR, there's always endless things to captivate us. And
It's true.
Seriously
It's true.
is.
And you never know when it catches your eye, like, oh, yeah, I didn't notice that before. And like, yeah, sometimes you take it for granted, the fact that, yeah,
totally.
we're so used to seeing shadows in the real world that we don't realize that, doing shadows in a virtual space, it's not, you can't take it for granted because it doesn't happen everywhere.
It's like when I go to
And
New
have
World,
they
I want to
noticing-
try every single thing. I want to try all of the things I can hold and pick up and interact with. I want to be in every part of a new world.
I've been noticing lately
Yes.
some of the visuals, like the graphics, getting better. I was in a world where it looked like nature. It had this element of mist and the water was done right. And, the raindrops on the water was just like, woo, bouncing around like that. Booty. And I'm able to feel immersed and not see. I was thinking about, imagine in a couple of years when the graphics get, the hardware gets better, how we won't be able to distinguish between virtual reality and physical reality. Visually,
That's right.
I mean. Yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously it's different
I was
because our
watching-
bodies are engaged differently, but...
Definitely, I agree with you. But I was actually watching something to do with artificial intelligence and how it has been developed so the thing about that is that there will be a time because how the headsets at the moment are quite heavy and sometimes that's what's stopping you from actually being in this sort of type of games for a long periods of time. You can get exhausting carrying all this weight around your head, especially because it's not distributed, evenly. But they are getting smaller and thinner. There will be a point where maybe they might even use them as like contact lenses. You actually put contact lenses, and that will take you into a virtual world.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, the next step is Apple. The next step is waiting for Apple's headset, and then we'll see what happens after that to save up for it. Yeah. Oh, you're back, Soleil. Can I feel like touching your hair? Can I touch your hair?
Yeah,
Can I touch
feel
your
free.
hair? It's just so beautiful and long.
Speaking of this world, the colliders in
cute.
this world are fucking with me. Friend.
No, that's all right. It's all good. Oh, good.
Yeah, and the more interactivity we get, the more active and interactive we get with, I guess, more sensors on our bodies. That will be really interesting.
That's right. Yes.
It will be going to be like jacked up, connected to wireless devices all over our body. I don't know. Trying to imagine how it might look.
It's hard to there's so much Black Mirror shit out there where it's is this going to be doom or amazing? And it always starts out as potentially amazing, but then
Yeah, humans have the tendency to take things too far, right? To take it to the nth degree and sometimes lose some sense of balance. So yeah.
Yeah, we are.
Is it going to end up being
creatures.
dystopia and not the utopia? What is your utopia, Lily? A bit like one. I guess we could have many, but
I guess my mind changes depending on my mood. Depends on where I am at the moment, like on my frame of mind. Like when I'm feeling a little bit vulnerable or upset, or I don't feel the blues. My dystopia is very, very different from when I'm optimistic. It definitely does change. There's times when I think, oh yes, I want to be like there's a book by Isaac Asimov, one of my favorite writers. He's a sci-fi writer. He's the guy that created the term robotics and the word robots. He's the one that invented it. So he's an amazing. Yeah, the robotics and all that stuff. It's the positonic brain. He invented all these terms that are now actually used for real. Well, he wrote a book. I can't remember the name because it was a while ago that I read it. But basically, every person in the whole universe, because this is about different planets, there was one planet in particular with all the residents. They live by themselves in their own homes, and they didn't even have physical contact with other human person. They would talk to each other, or they would have parties through holograms. They would have a party, and you just show up in your hologram. And so you never actually touch another human being. And there's a murder in this particular story. And the protagonist of the book, the guy he's a detective. He has to work out how the murder was committed when people don't actually touch each other,
Interesting.
It was very, very well written, and it was, but I remember, the fact that even when people were married and the house was kind of where they live, half of the house was one, partner, and the other half was for the other partner, and they didn't even actually touch each other. Even, having, their intimate moments, it would be through some sort of holographic projection.
Was it by choice or?
Yes, yes, the whole planet. I can't remember the book very well. Like, it was such a long time ago, but it was just this particular planet. I don't know if it was because of the Trenchworth disease, or
I guess,
or something. He would have. Yeah, maybe it was like they were forced into quarantine for a reason.
I love
and then eventually they just got used to it.
I'm not sure if it sounds like a utopia for me, but.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If I'm feeling very vulnerable and upset, and I'm sort of really down, and I'm hating people, then that's the utopia that I want. I want a place to myself. I want to just not have to interact with anybody and escape. But if I'm feeling really optimistic and I'm having a good day, then my utopia is like a big rave party with a whole bunch of people in there. So just depends.
Well, and I was thinking as we were asking this question about like how the technology could go bad, I think a lot about the thing that would make a difference in the next advances, whether it's in VR or Web3 or AI, is really around like, what is the driving force? What are our values around why we're creating it and what we're doing? And if our values are around human well-being, human connection, wealth redistribution, making sure everyone has access to housing and shelter and healthcare and basic needs. I mean, I think if those are our values around the technology, then it could be really amazing because we would be using it for tools for connection and belonging, which everyone really wants. I mean, we all say we want, people want a new Tesla, but really what they want is a person to ride around in that Tesla with them and hold their hand and maybe their dick at the same time. They want more than just possessions, and our belief that like more technology or more interesting things is going to make us happy is consistently been proven wrong. That like possessions don't, but community relationships, belong, importance, having meaning, like those are the things we really need. And I really want technology to be adapting to create. So that's my utopia, is maximizing all of the things we have in our toolboxes to create belonging and connection.
Yeah. What about you, Venus? What's your utopia?
Yeah, and the toolboxes are, hopefully going to get neater, cleaner, work better, have a better connection, so that we've got less technology to sort of work with as we're in a digital space. Utopia. I do have the dream that we live as humans in the fifth world, you could say. The fifth world is where we're in harmony, peace, and actually able to communicate, like heart to heart with each other, and be able to meet each other, have maturity, and have polyamorous sort of relationships where there is different, types of connections that I have. and I'm fed and I nurture other people in this way that is not monogamous at all. So like spreading my heart energy around. That's my utopia. And that if we do deal with aspects of, you know, jealousy, envy, which of course, as we're humans, there will be aspects of jealousy, envy, you know, insecurities that we have come up. But I think that with the open heart-to-heart communication, we can work through that. And I see that there's a way that I could enjoy that, you know, have the depth of relationship and all the sex I want. Different types of sex.
You know, that's a very interesting utopia, because actually I think it's starting to sort of happen, you know. I've seen, I think we're watching kind of the beginning of this, because a lot of people are just, you know, to get married anymore. Like the de facto relationships are very, very common here in Australia. And there's a lot of advantage. And I hear there's some European countries where they actually started doing that. I can't remember the name of the country, but it's one of the Scandinavian countries that people started to choose not to get married for tax purposes, because their government were taxing them too high. And so they thought, no, this is not worthwhile. So they decided, a lot of them actually got divorced, and they just live together, you know. And I think there's a big advantage on being able to have your own personal space and only be with the person you want to be for that physical connection, because then you're there because you want to. You know, you want to interact with that person because you want to, not because you have to, not because legally you're bound to that person as you some sort of you each other's property. You know, it used to be the time when women belonged to men and we were their property. Now it's like, okay, we get married, so yeah, now we both belong to each other legally. You know, but I think there's some sort of it's not as spontaneous anymore. It sort of sucks the fun out of being with someone. And you know, if I'm with someone and he's there just because he's married to me, and there's a piece of paper saying that he has to be there, it kind of makes me feel like insecure about it. You know, do you want me for who I am, or is it because it's better for us financially to be together, or you know,
you have a contract.
Complicated now.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's a contract,
romantic.
ultimately.
Well, and my retort to it is it's the idea that like people actually believe they own their partner's genitals with that contract. Like, I now have exclusive access to your parts, and like we would never sign away any other part of. Yeah, we would never sign away any other part of our being to somebody. We would never be like, you can decide what I eat forever, unless you're really kinky and that's like your thing. But like, we would never give away our autonomy in any other part of our lives. But we somehow have come to believe, under the context of patriarchy and Christianity and a lot of like many years of indoctrinated family values, that's really just like propaganda to maintain patriarchal control and power. And it just reinforces this idea that if you don't own your partner's genitals, they don't really love you, and it's not really like a true connection unless it's this kind of possessive power. And it's like, it's actually the opposite. Like, I feel way more loved by someone who's like, you're free, you're a liberated, open human being, and I respect and trust you. They'll talk to me about things that are changing, and we can have open communication.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's so true. I agree with you, because even as a simple thing, like, you know, a lot of single girls don't really like to have dinner, for example, or you tend to have like a light snack or nibble, you know, the smorgasbord, those little snacks here, and some of it is healthy, some of it is naughty, and all that stuff. Yeah, no, I remember, you know, as girls, we tend to kind of want to do that. But guys tend to be more like, you know, the big dinner, the steak, the whole, you know, 3-course thing and all that.
Sometimes I eat a huge plate of meat.
So, but that's because you choose to. Yeah. Because it's your choice. But a lot of people, because once in a relationship, it's like, what do you want for dinner? Oh, I don't know. Well, I want this. And sometimes you're having to kind of change what you really want to do to accommodate someone else. Or like, if you've got a partner that happens to be on a diet, then you can't really eat like that in front of them. You have to adjust either when you eat, or whether you choose to eat with them, or change what you eat. You know, it's as simple as that. You know, it's very complicated.
Maybe you wouldn't want to see me, you know, gnawing on the meat. Like, I don't know. It's we all have different choices, but we.
We wouldn't think it was bad, right? Oh, sorry, my car.
Just stay here, sweetie.
It's okay. You just jump it around.
Just quick. Yeah, so you can play with your hair. Just sit here.
My
Yeah,
glider
in the-
just
in the
keeps
seats,
Can I
fucking
brush
going.
your hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we
That's
can
a
just
great
click
idea.
on, and then we can keep brushing your hair. Yeah, click on the seat.
Have we got a hairbrush? I don't think I have that. I only have a
There
whip
we are.
as an accessory.
Oh, you're gonna,
Uh,
you're gonna get whipped.
no, I'm
No,
just
I have the
saying I
same
would love to
thing
have a
as
play with your
hairbrush.
hair.
I know,
No,
I know
this
an
is
avatar that
good.
has a hairbrush.
I mean, look
Oh
at you.
yeah.
Yeah, your
I don't
hair
know
is
why my avatars
beautiful.
are fucked. Sorry about that. But
No,
yeah, like
no,
we would
it's.
never.
I think
Oh.
it's because it's the seat. It's the
Yeah, the
seat
colliders
that
don't like me
they
today.
collide. No, it's the world seat. Look, if I move it
Yeah.
over
Super
here,
cool nails. Hey, your
Okay, I'm just gonna sit. I'm gonna
extension
just do this.
nails. Oh,
I'm
you're just gonna lie
sorry,
back on
there
me.
we are.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
That's cool. You lie back in there, my bosom.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. I can't figure out my seats
No,
today. I'm
no.
sorry. I'm sorry.
It's
okay.
no, this is
You
cute.
just
This
got your
is
head
cute.
above water. It's fine.
Yeah,
Sorry, friends.
yeah, all good.
Okay.
No, all good. All
Okay.
I
good.
just needed to
I'm just,
snuggle. I needed to snuggle today. That's what I needed.
Yeah,
That's
fine.
it.
It's
We're talking
lovely, your
about
hair.
snuggles when we want to, not when we have to.
Yeah.
That's the yeah. So yeah, going back to that subject, I mean, I think the fact that people are choosing not to get married because it's a sort of contractual, it's like a business.
Yeah.
Even like a lot of people says, oh well, we have to get married because of children.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that this is the case for everybody, and usually the family unit of the two parents or whatever their sexuality might be, the two parents and the children, it works in most cases, but there are a lot of cases
2.5
where it doesn't
children.
work at all. Yeah, but there's a lot of people
Right,
that
there's
really
rules.
don't. That don't.
Is it still 2.5?
You know?
It's probably gone down. Or maybe gone
people
up.
are
Yeah, I think
definitely-
it's 2.2.
Oh, it's 2.2 now. Okay.
But, I don't know. I'm making it up. I have no idea.
But any contract,
But
I mean, any relationship, in my opinion, is a opportunity to make an agreement. It is a contract. It's just that marriage, in the sense of how it was just one form of contract, and it had a lot of implicit stuff. You didn't really talk explicitly about, different aspects of a relationship. And so, yeah, it's just about making an agreement, and we can make whatever agreement we want with these people. But it comes back to self-authority and having autonomy and being able to do that. So, I support people in non-monogamy exploration as well, because sometimes it's like, what can the agreement look like? It can be whatever we want. So we build our own
that's
contracts.
exactly the point. Exactly, it's an agreement that you have with another person or a couple of people. It's an agreement, but it's not a legal binding piece of document that says, like, if you change your mind, that's it, you're stuck with it. It's not. It's too formal. It's very much like a business, and that's what a lot of people choose to have it for business, for the children.
Totally. When I got divorced the first time in my cult marriage, I was married to this person in this Christian cult, and the judge asked us this question. This judge asked us this question: is this marriage irretrievably broken? As like I had to verify that so that he would allow us to get divorced, and I was like, this is some fucked up shit. That I need this person to I need to convince this person that this is not repairable with this abusive, controlling man.
So,
but,
right.
Give you permission to get divorced.
It's about this legal contract to determine my own well-being, or not trusting I could just decide for myself what I think and what I want. And,
your freedom. At the end of the day, it's your freedom.
Totally.
Yeah.
And when I talk about non-monogamy agreements, the agreements are most of the time marriage contracts or not monogamous rules are not entered into voluntarily. They're your culture or your family or your religion has given them to you. So this is what you do. So it's not really an agreement, right? Because it's not something you're choosing voluntarily. It's an obligation. And so non-monogamy agreements are so different because it's we're gonna sit down and talk about what things do we want and how would it be equal and how do it be balanced, and which almost never happens in marriage situations. It's almost never that kind of conversation.
Exactly. And just like us humans, we always, the theory of something might sound really, really good, but then when we implement it, it leads itself to being corrupted. People take advantage of that. And I think that's what's happening with marriage. Maybe in the long time ago, it was It was working for women because we got some sort of protection. It was working for men as well because, whatever the reason, they feel like they own us. I have no idea why you work with men, but it was working for those times. But times have changed.
I don't think it ever worked.
Marriage has to evolve. It worked for guys. It worked for men.
But, it's true. It worked for them. Yeah.
Look, a lot of them felt like they were in jail as well.
A lot of But the women were protected. In those days, the way the society worked and all that, it was actually you were better off being married as a woman than being on your own. But there were different times. Now we have more opportunities. And stigma, and because of the society that we lived in. But that's why marriage was created, and it was actually embraced by women, because in those days, it kind of served a purpose for us. But it doesn't do that anymore. It needs to evolve to something else. Even for children, it doesn't work anymore, because there's so many people that actually get divorced or they have children out of wedlock, as they call it. So the concept of marriage, the two parents looking after the children, a lot of parents, they're lousy parents, and they don't even, there's in the UK to have a dog, even here in Australia, you have to have a license. In the UK to watch television, you have to pay a license,
Why? Yeah.
When you have children, you don't, like even when you want to adopt a dog from the kennels, or from the pound or whatever you call it in America, you need to go through a scrutiny, like, are you any good with, pets? Are you going to mistreated it and all that sort of stuff? But when you want to have a child, nobody asks you, do you know what it's like to have children? Do you know how to look after them? Do you know how to educate them? Because you're bringing up the next generation. And a lot of people are really not equipped to do that. And a lot of people don't want to do that.
Then they'd have to regulate it. Then they'd have to regulate it. If you had to get a license, then how do they actually stop you having sex where you get pregnant? Now, that's pretty tricky. Unless we actually have, like, involuntary, what's it called?
Some Handmaid's Tale shit.
Sterilization. Yeah, sterilization.
No. It's very simple. You just have to go to classes. That's all. As simple as that. You want to be a nurse? You go to college to learn how to be a nurse. Or you want to be a parent? You need to study for it, and you need to graduate. And when you graduate, then you become a parent. Oh, you happen to just sort of fall pregnant before.
If you fail,
that's okay. You can still.
If you don't do it, or if you fail, then you get sterilized, like forced sterilization.
No, that's too far.
If you don't get
that's too far.
I'm just
that's
playing.
Too far. But no, what happens?
I'm just going to the extreme.
The extreme. No, but the solution would be like if, let's say you've got a teenage girl that falls pregnant out of, it wasn't planned, or even a couple, whoever. They just happen to be expecting a baby. They weren't ready for it. They don't have their qualifications. You can still study that while you are actually being a parent. You're learning on the job kind of thing, like an apprenticeship,
Totally.
You're doing the job as you're learning. You still have to go to classes, and you have to have an advisor that comes in and actually, in the UK, when people have babies, they have the midwife come and see you at home, still for a while. While you still, because it's a brand new baby, you don't know what you're doing. And they sort of teach you, how to do that. And I think there's other countries like in Europe that do that as well. So that would be parenting and you're learning on the job. Good idea really would be that you learn in advance, because then you're prepared.
Are there midwives in Mexico? Like, is that a common thing to have a midwife and a doula? No. Okay. Have you heard of a doula?
Well,
before?
there is. Yes, there is a.
Yeah, I love doulas.
It is like
a birth doula. Yeah,
I like them a lot.
It's not a midwife as such, but it is kind of the equivalent in Mexican, like in the countryside, like the small remote towns. There is la partera, we call it, like it's the lady that only looks after labor. La partera. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's somebody completely different to a doctor. Sometimes you could have. So I guess we do have midwives, but not everybody uses them. Most people in Mexico, they tend to just sort of go to the doctors, and that's it. Parteras are more for like very remote towns when there's not a lot of medical services, and then she would just that's what she would specialize on, and they're usually women.
Lily, I have a book recommendation for you. It's going back to the marriage conversation. I really love this book called Marriage: A Brief History by Stephanie Kuntz, and she talks about how we came to our modern ideas about marriage. And she goes through like our whole history as humans and how we got here. And one of my favorite things that this book actually points out is that the original marriage, people were much more like polyamorous prior to the last 120 years or so, because marriage was strictly a contract for land ownership and for the distribution of property. It was like, you should be married and you should be heterosexual so that we know we can make sure that our kids are getting our land and we can control who gets the land. This is also the reason why priests became celibate, because it was reinforcing this idea that we don't want the priest to have to then have a bunch of children with a bunch of people, but then we have to distribute church property. And so it was all intertwined. And marriage was about land and ownership and power. And it wasn't about love, it wasn't about romance, it wasn't about anything around connection. And everyone had other partners. Everyone was fucking other people. But the person they were married to, land, ownership, children, was about money and wealth and power. And so
that's it.
If we think about that as the origins,
it's a business origin.
The belief that it's now this one person is your everything for romance and for connection and for love is a modern like marketing conception out of like the American dream.
It's just like impossible. And it's impossible.
Yeah, it's not actually real, but one person would be your everything. But it was sold to us to consume more shit and like stay in like continue this power struggle where like we're allowing for
stay in slavery,
certain hierarchy to maintain power. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
It's like saying you need to find your other half, That's sort of stupid nonsense, like saying it. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense
that you have to be half a person. It's really implying that you don't have to work on yourself. You can only allow yourself to be half a person because the other person will come in and make one person. That doesn't make sense. You need to be a full package and have something to offer.
I've seen some girls work a strap-on better than any man with a dick. So, like, to say that you need someone with a dick to complete the other half, like, there's some strap-ons that do way better than any dicks I've ever done in my life. So, like, there's lots of toys that can be fill me up like my other half would.
To make you whole, hey?
Make me whole.
Fill all your holes.
Fill all my holes with strap-ons.
It doesn't make sense. You cannot subscribe to that idea. You cannot possibly subscribe to the idea that you need to find somebody else to make you a complete person. You cannot. It's lazy to sort of expect someone else to take half of you, to be only half a person. And then they have to, put up the rest. It's just like, bullshit. That's...
And if they die or something happens to them... They die or something happens, then you're destroyed.
Again.
Then you're complete. This happens. Like we see people who break up with people and their whole life is destroyed. It's like that's because your whole life revolved around this one person. And like, what else do you have in your world?
Your identity is linked to that person. Function. Yeah, that's not. It's not fair for for your partner as well to rely on them to make you a whole person. That is just not fair. That's bullshit. You're not giving you full 100%. So yeah, that's why I don't think standard marriage works.
Oh, she just
Can I touch your leg under the water? Is it okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I realized I was just doing it. I should ask you.
Thing, isn't it? I was thinking about that. Like,
I've been touching your hair.
But we got consent for that. Like, how does consent look like in VR? How different is it in real life? I've been sort of pondering that, and something I thought about was often we'd go to touch or we go to do something and then we ask. I did it before. I touched your hair.
Yeah.
And then I asked. And so...
And then we asked. I think I've got an idea of what it is.
It feels like I can just pull your tail or just touch your hair. But actually, you wouldn't do that in real life. You just wouldn't walk up to someone and pull their tail, right?
Yes.
And so I've been thinking about in VR, respecting... Okay, go. Your theory?
No. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. So we've got this delay. Go on. Finish your statement.
That was it.
Well, I think it is. This is my opinion, obviously. I think it's because in the real world, the moment you touch any of me, I would feel it straight away. So I will look at you. And that will make you aware of it very, very quickly. Even before, So even if you come close to me, that simple actions, I would actually feel that aura, and you were like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Yeah,
In
but I feel it in VR
the fact
too.
that we're pixels,
now that I've spent some time.
If you're aware of it, like if I come close to you like this, you watching me, you can actually react. But like right now, Soleil was touching my leg. If I'm not looking in that direction, I don't see it because I'm only limited to what my screen is showing me at the moment. If it was a little bit more interactive, where I could actually see the bottom of that, like the peripheral vision was wider, then yeah, I would be actually be able to react. Saying that, I've had an experience, a wacky experience. Let me tell you a story. I was at the Black Cat with some friends, and I was just sort of doing something, with talking to someone, and then one of my friends was behind me trying to get my attention and going, Lily, Lily, and he was actually pointing like he would do in the real world in my back, just sort of pointing at me, but he was doing it as a joke, like playing, like not expecting me to react at all, but like, Lily, Lily, I felt it, and I wasn't even looking at him. But because he's one of my best friends here in VR, so I'm very connected with him that I actually felt it. I'm so used to him and his mannerisms and the way he usually talks to me that I kind of, the moment I heard him, the way he was talking, I knew that he was patting on my back, but I actually felt it. And I was like, oh my God. And that's what Phantom Touch is. When you're so submerged. Yeah. So, but that was my little tidbit. I think it's because
cool story.
VR. Yeah,
well,
I think it's
it's weird when you're in a group with when there's a lot of people and you can just walk through somebody and like it's odd.
I hate that.
You don't normally like walk around to like give people space, but it's true. Like I hate when I turn around like, oh, someone's suddenly like inside of my person. And it's weird because we can just.
It actually feels invasive. Doesn't it? It's interesting how I've had the feeling of I feel invaded. And when I accidentally like jump over, when you sort of accidentally fuck up your controls and you jump over into someone's space, like on the top of their head, I'm truly like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that I did that to you. And So personal space in VR is what we're talking about. It's probably actually a little bit. It's definitely here. You feel it. I feel as soon as you came and laid on me, Soleil, like laid back on me. There we go. I actually feel how you're totally inside my personal space.
You even start feeling a certain warmth. You sort of feel a certain warmth where she is, even though exactly. Yes.
Interesting.
And especially because we know each other so well now. We've interacted for so long that it's even we're sort of closer. So you tend to feel more the people that are closer to you. And that's what strangers tend to kind of walk through you and they don't even think about it. Because you don't exist for them. You're just a little
NPC.
bunch of pixels. Yeah, you're a little bunch of pixels that don't really get it. And they haven't been playing the game long enough, probably. But, like I always stand up for myself and I just say to people, I always say to people, please don't do that because it does freak me out. I hate it. And they're like, oh, they start laughing at me and like, oh, ha, ha, ha. What do you mean? And you're like, you're being stupid. What do you mean you feel it? And I said, well, I don't feel it like in the real world. But it's a sensation in my mind. It's like when you feel sometimes in the real world, you say, oh, I just feel like a ghost walk through me. It's just a sensation. You might not see it, but it's a sensation. And that's exactly how it feels.
We're so connected to our avatars. Like we feel like these are extensions of our body. Like these are extensions of like our expression. And so someone coming into it is like I know they can't like touch my genitals, but it feels almost like they they could like see through walls or walk through me. And I could like that it is actually invasive and feels harmful. And oftentimes it is an accident, but someone's doing it on purpose, that it definitely is a violation. And we talk about for our parties, like reading social cues, like respect someone's bubble as much as you can, especially if you want to actually talk to them. You're not going to come up and be like, put your face in their tits and be like, can I touch you? You're like, no, you're going to like first like approach them with kindness and respect, then be welcomed.
Exactly.
And read body language. That's what we were talking about too. Like there is a level of body language we have here. It's maybe not as much when we have
when I fuck up my
we're in a physical space. But there's definitely, can still let me know how you feel with your body language as well. But we were talking about how important it is to use more explicit consent in VR, well, in life in general. Hey, to be able to use your verbal skills as well, you know, so that you can be clear and so that you can like help someone else understand you.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely, yes.
Yeah.
And it also depends on what it is. You know, I've had a lot of, people that know me from Instagram. They've seen some of my pictures, and when they actually do see me in the world, they'll come to me and they'll start sort of grabbing my hair, and but in a loving way, in a sort of, I appreciate you, I sort of, I'm happy that you're here. You feel the affection, and so I don't mind, even if I haven't actually literally give them any consent.
Right.
I feel the affection, so that's fine. But when somebody's just coming to you and starts poking in the eyes or grabbing your boobs, and you're like, dude, I don't even know who you are. Like, then that is negative. Yeah, it has to be.
Yeah.
Intention is definitely very important. Yeah.
And so for you, Lily, like someone just approaching you and giving you your personal space and starting to engage in a conversation, is that a fine approach for you?
Definitely.
Or do you like something different?
If it's someone that I know, I don't mind, like, with Soleil touching my legs and all that.
Okay.
There's a unspoken rule, as far as I'm concerned, that because you're my friend, you're allowed to touch me. That you don't even have to ask.
Okay.
That's fine. Okay.
Right.
It is sort of affection. That's fine.
Level
Now, if you wanted to go a bit
trust.
further, then that would be something. Yeah, it's based on my trust.
Okay.
It's because I know you. I know that you're respectful. I know that you always, tend to be mindful of how I feel. So then I trust you. So I don't have to worry about it. The same with you, Venus. I trust you. And I've got friends like that. I don't mind. In fact, I'm sometimes the other way around. I can be very, very naughty. And if there's someone that I've known for a little while, that I've spoken to, that we're not like best friends or anything like that, but it's just someone. I caught myself doing this the other day. There's someone I admire a lot here in vrchat, and I love his content, and I love following him on Instagram and on TikTok and all the social media platforms, and I love what he does. And I've been sometimes sort of popping into where he is catching up with his friends, in one of those drinking nights and all that. And I have caught myself a few times actually grabbing his face and touching his hair. And sometimes even when I'm like, oh, okay, I have to go, I'll give him a kiss. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, I hope he doesn't mind, It's just that I do admire him a lot. And he's like, I'm a groupie, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should ask for permission, He doesn't seem to mind. Totally. He seems quite happy for me to do that, but yeah. I've been very bad, a very, very naughty girl, and just touching when I should be asking first.
Yeah.
Funny.
So, but if it's a stranger? So, if it's a stranger?
If it's a stranger, I would be, very, very wary of actually going and just start touching, because I don't like that done to me. So, therefore, I don't do that to them. Because I do try to follow the motto.
Do you like someone to engage your mind? Do you want them to tell you something interesting, or do you want them to be show their intelligence, or what is it how would you like to be approached by a stranger?
I love variety, so I don't expect anybody to be anything that they're not. What I really want more than anything else is people to be genuine, to be themselves. Yeah. Not to be pretending to be something. And I'm not talking about you have to tell me your real name, your real age, and what you do for work in the real life. I'm not talking about your real life, because I'm myself I'm very private on my real life. I'm talking about vrchat, your essence. What are your beliefs? Genuine.
Yes,
exactly. You can be very genuine. You can be a vegan, you can be a carnivorous, you can be polyamorous, you can be, what's the other one that they call that where they cannot establish a relationship with anybody unless they're the only one, kind of thing. There's a word for it. Exactly. Yes, I think that's what it is. Is that I've got a friend like that, and he's very much like, oh, don't touch me unless we're actually on a relationship together. And so we're very good friends.
Demisexual? Sorry, I need to ask. What is demisexual? The definition?
Demisexual is folks who need a romantic connection in order to have a sexual connection. So they need to first build a romantic, trusting relationship before they have arousal.
That would be me.
Right.
That's definitely me. That describes me to the T. Because I have tried the thing of going with strangers and it just doesn't work for me at all. I'm not saying that I have to have a committed relationship with someone. Yeah, I can be a little promiscuous sometimes. But
you're saying romantic in particular?
There has to be there has to be some sort of trust, for sure. I need to be able to know the person a little bit, a good friend. And
it's along the spectrum of like asexuals and gray ace. It's kind of there's like a lot of folks who are like they may have no desire, or they only have it in very specific situations, or they're more like gray sexual where it's very limited but only certain kinds of connections. So it's really all a spectrum. It's not as black and white as anybody wants it to be, unfortunately.
Of course.
I think it's actually good. It's actually good. We don't all want to be the same. Can you imagine how tedious that would be? So it is exciting. So for me, for a stranger to come and approach me, you need to be yourself before anything else. Don't tell me about your real name. Don't tell me about your age. As long as you're over 18, that's for sure. As long as you're an adult and you have look, I've got children that are friends, and they say they're children. Then I'm able to kind of adjust my language and what I'm going to say because it's a child. That doesn't mean that I don't want to have children as friends. But,
So we have a few followers on our Twitch stream, so I just wanted to welcome them. We have Wolfwood Hun has jumped in, and I asked if they had any topics for us. And then Zypher, welcome. Wolfwood Hun's like a topic. I don't know what women really want. Oh, well, that's good you're on this stream because we're telling you. So just listen up. So, I mean, really, I think the question is more, what do I want is maybe a better question. Get clear about what it is that you want, and be able to communicate about that rather than worry about what women want, because that'll just drive you to the fucking, just to the, what do you...
I think, just like they say, keep it simple.
House, I was going to say.
You've got to keep it simple, guys. I think at the end of the day, if you follow the motto of treat others the way you want to be treated, for one thing, that way you actually are embracing people that have the same values as you are. If you want to be all treated like a victim and be all, sexually abused or whatever, well, you're going to attract people like that, But if you want to be respected, then you treat people with respect, and that's what you're going to get back in return. And another thing is that you really need to be just yourself, Don't try to be somebody else.
Yeah.
You don't, unless you're trying to improve yourself. Because I'm sorry, to the belief that you fake it till you make it. That's if you're trying to improve yourself. If you're saying, I'm trying to be more confident and all that, then you start faking it for a little while and eventually becomes. But if that's your aim goal, but don't fake it just to get something out of someone, because that's manipulative. That's being deceitful. That's something else. Who wants to like?
Well, that's what I was going to say, is like a lot of that question comes from men who followed things like pickup artist bullshit, which is like these books that tell like this is what women really wanted. I've seen actually a lot of this on Instagram lately too, where these women are like, learn how to be the seductive feminine, mystique, and it's like, no, this belief that there is certain like one way to attract the ideal partner, or one thing that women or men want. It's like, A, it's like gender exclusionary in terms of there being absolutes that genders want or need, which isn't true. And then B, you're not actually learning skills to listen and talk to somebody. As for me, it's every single human is going to be really different and unique and creative in the way they want to be engaged with. And it's like, work on your human communication skills, learn how to listen, learn how to show empathy, learn how to share your feelings, learn how to talk about yourself without sounding like an egomaniac, learn how to be an interesting person in a conversation, learn how to show interest and engage meaningfully. And like, that's how you're going to get a date. It doesn't actually matter what you look like or, what kind of pickup lines you use. Like, all of that is bullshit.
Exactly. Yes, I agree with you 100%. But while you're learning to do all that and you're working on yourself, because we are all have to continuously be working on ourselves to improve ourselves, while you're doing all that, keep it simple. Just be yourself. Because at the end of the day, We're all energy. That's all we really are. So if you put out a type of energy, that's what you're going to attract. So think, what sort of partner do I want? Then you become that person. You become that partner, because that's what you're going to attract.
So relaxing, listening to the water falling behind us. Your hair on
Yes,
my bosom.
I love water, as you know. I love
your
water.
nipple poking out the top there.
Oh,
So really
I'm sorry. I'm a very bad girl. I'm a
sensual.
very naughty girl.
No,
Yes.
we're in the spa. Well, we haven't got the spa jets on, but so you can see a lot under the water here. If we turn the spa on, it'd just be a bit too bubbly, I guess. A bit too noisy.
Yeah. I mean, I find water very sensual, you know. It is the thing that brings us to life, you know. You need to have water in a planet to be able to have life in it. And then at the end of the day, like every creature in the world, you know, when they're inside their mothers, they are surrounded by water, some sort of fluid. So yeah, water is very, very important for, you know, for creation.
So,
for energy.
So media question for you. What's your favorite sexy scene in water or book or something? I always think of Cocktail, the like the like waterfall scene in Cocktail. Ugh, that scene always like gets me.
I haven't actually seen that movie. I don't think. Is that with the one with Tom Cruise?
Uh-huh. Yeah, they fuck at this waterfall, and it's just like it's so pretty.
Oh, really? Oh, that's it. I'm watching it. I hope they have it on Netflix. I'm going to watch that.
Yeah,
if it's
worthwhile watch just for that scene.
I'm watching it. Yeah.
Just that scene.
Yeah.
I'll have to come back to you on that. I maybe have to like revise a few movies.
Oh, there's also
have you seen the color?
I don't remember the name of this. Sorry, go ahead.
The Color Blue, is it called? It's a French movie. The Color Blue.
Oh yeah,
and it's got like so many sex scenes in it.
That's a very sexy queer movie, yeah, for sure.
Very sexy, yeah, and they like show beautiful lovemaking scenes that go on for hours, because between two women, and they're just like having orgasm after orgasm after orgasm. I don't know if there's a water scene in there, but I love that movie. I was just thinking about the other day.
There's some other movie with Zayn. I forgot his last name. This like very well-known actor, and he's fucking this beautiful woman and they're like on a stranded, they're on an island like stranded because their boat crashed, and they're just like fucking in the ocean, and it's a very hot scene too.
I love swimming pools, and I love maybe lakes, but like doing it in the beach with all that sand. Spas, yes.
I like spas,
but like in the beach,
when the oxygen,
the sand is a big.
Nah.
Yeah, the sand is. Yeah, it gets everywhere.
Clean water with oxygen. I don't have to use chlorine. There was once a Kiva spa close to where I live. They tried that for a while. It was so good. So you can go to the hot spa, and not have the chlorine, you know, going up your nose. and it was like clean with oxygen. They didn't continue though, so I don't know what that meant. Like whether it didn't work, or whether it was too expensive.
I think it was probably too expensive. I think it's probably more expensive.
I don't know which one.
You know, because oxygen and all that stuff.
Might have been that it didn't work. I don't know. Like the level of hygiene that they were required to have, or something like that. I don't know.
Could be. I've made sex kits for my friends and for people like who want to have sex at the beach or in the woods. Like, cause you could like make a kit that has everything you need to like make it really fun and hygienic. So like, there's DM me, folks, if you want to know what's in my sex kit for the woods.
Beach sex kit.
Sounds interesting.
Oh, you got different one for the forest and one for the beach.
Yep, one for the beach, one for the forest. Yep.
Okay, cool.
Okay, you
and
have
the one
similar.
For the forest
your
got
details.
Yeah,
you want
I
some
imagine
details?
the one for the forest would have something to stop you if you get a prickly bush or something bites you. You'd need to have like bite cream.
A lot of it's like a basic survival kits for like outdoors too. So it's like it's like insect repellent and sunscreen. But then there's always a blanket. There's always baby wipes. There's always some
lubricant,
condoms, lubricant. Some vessel for water if you're needing to like fetch water from the river from something. And there's always some kind of like cover for some shade or for some like blocking of other people too. Yeah, there's and then there's something else usually in it. An inflatable little pillow thing that you can like use for like positioning.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Be staying off prickly plants or rocks.
Yeah, totally.
I'm thinking
It's a good sex
a little
kit.
pillows for your head, to have a relax.
It's a good sex kit, and it has a basic first aid. It has a basic first aid in it, and it has some like always some like water and some like basic things you're gonna need to like. Maybe you're gonna be there for a few hours and wanna
Oh, that's funny.
I think also sometimes, out in nature there can be like just things you don't want to get stuck in your bum or in your belly. So
Yes.
you just want to have a little bit of protection. We do have one more question from Wolfwood Hun. Would we like to hear it?
Yes.
Sure.
They can't figure out why a woman would choose a man who ignores her, but still wants her, rather than choose a man who cares about her and wants her to be happy, but doesn't want her. I can't figure that out.
Yes, in my opinion, obviously I'm not an expert at all. I can only give you my observations. I believe that when you find a woman like that, it could be, I don't know if it's for true, what actually happens, but it could be that she might be a little bit young and she's actually basing her behavior by watching movies. So she thinks that's the way she's supposed to behave, that she's supposed to be attracted to, the one that that ignores her or whatever. It could be that. So it could be that it's just that she doesn't know herself what she wants, and so she's playing it safe by following sort of what everybody else is doing. That could be one reason. Another one is that it depends. Yeah. Yes, it also depends on your parents, your upbringing. That's what I'm saying, that with marriage and the children, the bringing up children doesn't always work, because some parents don't know how to actually interact with their children, how to help them, give them that confidence. So if you have a very distant father and you're always searching for his approval and all that sort of thing, you're going to grow up thinking that that's normal. That's what a man is supposed to be like. And that's why you're going to look for someone who's just like that. It might not be the best thing for you, but that's what you know. And then, like they say, better the devil you know than the one that you don't. So that could be the reason.
Well, it's kind of like a masculinity trope.
What do you think?
We've been trained to kind of like chase the emotionally distant man as like that's like strength and power and masculinity. So like a lot of women have been socialized to like they want the sort of like John Wayne kind of like distant cowboy like kind of motif of like this who's that you're kind of chasing and like begging for affection, when like the very attentive like present man is sometimes emasculated in our culture. And I think if we did a better job socioculturally of like honoring emotionally sensitive and supportive men, I think that would go a long way to changing some of these like norms in our like dating systems as well.
I think, like I always said in previous talks that we've had, it's about feeling confident, and these guys that are very aloof and very sort of I don't care about that. That might seem like, they're very confident, and because they are confident and say, no, I don't want you, kind of thing, So that is very attractive on its own. They can be assholes, like you were talking about your friend. He was very successful at just approaching girls and kissing them without even asking permission. But that's because of his confidence. And that is what is most attractive. And that's what I always saying, guys, you just be confident of who you are. And if a girl does not appreciate you, you're better off, touching that bullet, because that's just going to be problems.
Don't be a confident asshole. Don't use your confidence to be coercive and manipulative.
It's very, very different being a confident person and being an arrogant person. There is a very thin line between it, but there is a line. Being confident doesn't mean that you need to be an asshole. Being confident is saying, I know who I am, I know my worth, and I know who is entitled to have my worth with me, to share it with me, So it's not about putting people down or saying, oh, you're not good enough. Exactly. The most confident guy is the one who doesn't have nothing to prove. It's like, if you like me, that's fantastic. I like you too. You don't like me, that's okay too. I'm not going to abuse you or insult you for that. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion. And I'm confident enough that I'll find somebody else that appreciate me. That's it. That's what confidence is. It's not being an asshole.
And confidence to share their feelings too. Emotional skills is confidence.
Exactly.
It's that, I can have empathy. I can cry, and I can have Oh, I want to tell you a story, Lily. This week we lost my kitty for a day. My cat was missing, and I was losing my mind, and my partner was crying a lot too. And I was like, "This is the first time I've seen you cry." And they're a masculine person, but I was like, maybe the second time. But they were like crying a lot, losing the cat, and I was like, I want to see more like emotions from you, because it's like we don't want to only have big losses that cultivate emotional release, but like we need more space for this, like for men to feel comfortable, like having big emotions about things and still having tears, and not just when like there's a tragedy.
Confidence, of saying, I am actually overwhelmed because this is a sad moment and I want to cry. And a man that does that and embraces it, that is confidence. And it's so adorable and sexy and so relatable. Compared to someone who's like, oh no, I would never cry for that. He's like, sweet. Oh, bloody asshole, Of course, yes. I mean, you don't want to have a guy that cries just to attract your attention. Because that's the thing, A lot of people think like, oh, if I cry, she'll feel sorry for me. You don't want that. Because that is not confidence. That's manipulation. You're trying to manipulate someone. And that's not confidence. Okay?
I did have a guy cry on a first date. And I was like, no, the first date is not the right time to cry.
Okay, so there are a few guidelines around emotional expression.
Yeah, I mean, there's a little. We didn't build that trust yet, right? Like, I generally don't cry on a first date either, because we haven't built safety yet with this person.
But that's because you don't know them enough. That if you trust them, you feel that you can let go and you can be yourself. Yeah, and a confident person wouldn't care about that. A confident person will just say, you know what, this is sad, and my tears are gonna just roll, and that's fine.
Well, I felt like this guy. Guy the first date, he was wanting me to be his emotional caretaker, and right away I felt like he's crying because he's wanting me to step into that role, and I was like, I don't want that role in this guy's life.
He wants exactly because he's manipulating you. You see, the crying was a manipulation. It wasn't real. He wasn't crying because he was feeling sad. He was doing it to get something. It's manipulation. As simple as that. Very simple. Yeah, and so when Cypher was asking, how come, these girls want, this sort of asshole that doesn't want anything to do with them, and then, I'm sorry, Fukam, but they don't actually want to have someone who cares for them and, wants to everything, then again, are you actually being genuine? Are you pretending to care for them because you want them? Are you really just sort of really care about their well-being or of them to be happy? Because if you come across as somebody who's always on their, trying to please them and, do whatever they want, then you're just needy. So that's not being confident. That's just being needy. And that's, again, another form of manipulation because you want them to do something for you. Okay? So you need to actually say, I want that person because I like them, not because of what they can do for me. If you're with a girl because of the status that she's going to give you, like, oh, my friends are going to be so jealous, you don't want her for her. You want her for what she represents. Yeah, totally. You've got to be careful. You've got to think of what it is, why she's a bit reluctant to go with you. Whether it's using certain ways of being to manipulate or, is she really the girl you want?
It's also possible, and I'm just thinking about my personal experience, it's also possible that this person is not ready to be in a committed situation or doesn't want to actually be in a relationship. And so there's this sort of attraction to the to what is not possible, to the they're ignoring me, but I'm still going to have this attachment to this person. And that's because perhaps they're not actually ready or able to.
You're right.
You know, like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, sort of, I'm just thinking about myself.
Totally.
Yeah, I've perhaps been attracted to the emotionally distant person, or maybe even physically distant, and they haven't really wanted me, but I've still had this like, oh. So perhaps that's about my self-worth. Or it's because I wasn't actually ready to be in a committed relationship. So this person over here who was saying, "Hey, I'm here for you and I care for you," I'm like, no. So it actually,
that's too scary. Yeah.
It could be that I'm going through my own healing.
Exactly. Yes.
So,
and it's maybe you don't that girl's personal safety mechanism that that her inner voice is sort of saying she's not ready for a relationship. So let's pretend that we're attracted to this unavailable person because that's a safe bet. If we want someone who's not available, we're safe. We're not going to get anything. But if we are actually approached with someone who really, really wants us around and we're not ready for a relationship, then it's like a big scary thing. So yeah, could be that. I think you're right. There's a lot in that.
Also, this question kind of reeks though of like friend zoning questions, like dudes who are like, "Why do I keep getting friend zoned by the girl?" And it's like, the entire belief around being friend zoned means you weren't clear about your intentions from the beginning. So if you only want to be friends with this person because you want to fuck them, you want to date them, like, then you're not actually being their friend. Like, then you're just like, I've had a few people that, like, the minute that I made it clear I didn't want to fuck them, like, they were no longer my friend. And it's like, being a friend is a fucking honor. Like, the fact that I have you in my life at all,
you feel betrayed,
is an honor. And if you don't actually want that, then don't accept that. Then don't go into it with some other agenda. And if you do, just say that up front. Like, say, I want to date you. No, I don't want that. Cool, we can still be friends, but if you don't actually want that friendship, then, like, move on. Don't sit around waiting for me to change my mind in the future and then being mad at me for dating other people.
Exactly. Yeah, again, be genuine, be confident, be who you really are, and don't be a manipulative little shit.
I think it's good the way you put that,
Soleil,
because
I'm not
sure
saying
most people don't
everybody's
think of themselves.
No,
and I'm sure a lot of people don't think of themselves as manipulating. So I think it was good the way Soleil put it. It's just like, just be clear in the beginning about what your intention is, or make a clear agreement. That's what I heard. Often I may not come from a place of manipulation, specifically, but it's just be clear, be clean, and you're more likely to get what you want too. Potentially.
Yeah. And I'm sure there's the time where I'm sure there is the times where you happen to be friends with someone, you'd be very, very close and all that, and maybe you start getting other feelings for that person. That can happen.
Space for it to grow
but
and
then
change.
if that exactly, but don't be surprised if that other person, your friend, does not feel the same way. Then don't stop being their friends because your feelings have changed. Because that's not fair. At the end of the day, he or she is still your friend. So respect the fact that maybe they don't feel the same way as you do. Maybe, I know that I've been in the past, I would rather have the friendship than have a lover. So I would actually, even if I was attractive and there could be a chance that we could build into something, I would say no. Because I know that once you break up with someone romantically, you lose them. That's it. They're out of your life. If you break up, it's because you got to the point where you just don't like each other anymore, or like there's too many irreconcilable differences. You don't want to lose a friend. So I'd rather just not go there. So that's what you're saying. So like, you need to be upfront with what you want. It needs to be important. And if it does develop into something else, the friendship is the main thing.
Sometimes people, I think, are scared to do that, to just be really honest. But it is what we need to learn to do. Thanks for the question, Wolfwood Hun. And Zypher said that they are just listening in while at work. So that's great. I hope that you gained something. And great to have you here. I think
that's
we'll
what I'm planning
to the end of the show soon.
Yeah, that's what I'm planning to do. All of these videos are going to be uploaded onto the YouTube channel as podcasts, precisely because they can be, quite long for a video, so people can actually hear it when you're driving or whatever. So that's the idea. We're going to have a full series of podcasts.
Full series, 3 girls, 1 mic. And I wanted to say thank you to our producers, Sexy.
Yes, thank you, Thank you. Good
I'll get
job.
better
And
at
we're going to
my
wrap up
seating
today.
positions next time.
Where is my
Oh.
towel?
Oh, your position is fine.
Slave. Where is my towel
I'm gonna work
slave?
on
I want
seating.
like at least 3 and warm and like fluffy with some. You're going to go? Where are they?
I'm
Wait.
gonna look for one. Where's the towels?
Okay. Well, thanks
Where
everybody
are the
for
staff
joining
here?
us, and we'll catch you up on the next time. Bye.
See you. Bye.
Bye.
No towels.